Respected leaders, members of this important convention, Assalamu alaikum. It is with great joy and heartfelt warmth that I extend my best wishes for the success of the Islamic Society of North America's 61st Annual Convention. I am deeply appreciative of the opportunity to bring remarks to this important gathering, which is being held under the timely, thought-provoking theme, the Muslim America, forging faith and action. This theme is not only appropriate, but necessary in today's world, where the connection between belief and action must be reinforced and lived out daily. Islam teaches us that faith is not merely an internal conviction or a set of abstract beliefs, but should actively shape our values and actions. The Quran guides us in understanding that faith without corresponding actions is incomplete. It is stated in the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 177. Righteousness is not in turning your faces towards the east or the west. Rather, the righteous are those who believe in God, the last day, the angel, the books, and the prophets, who give charity out of their cherished wealth to relatives, orphans, the poor, needy, travelers, beggars, and for freeing captives, who establish prayer, pay alms, and keep the pledges they make, and who are patient in times of suffering, adversity, and in the heat of battle. It is they who are true in faith, and it is they who are mindful of God. This verse beautifully illustrates that faith is intertwined with action. It is not enough to believe. Our belief must lead to tangible deeds that reflect the principles of Islam: compassion, charity, patience, and justice. Faith is a catalyst for action, inspiring us to make meaningful contributions to society and the world at large. We cannot, for example, show compassion to others in our minds and hearts alone. We must take concrete steps to assist others if we are to be truly compassionate. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "He who does not show mercy to others will not be shown mercy." This hadith urges us to translate our internal feelings of compassion into real-world acts of kindness and support for those in need. The current state of the world calls for Muslims to embody this connection between faith and action more than ever. The ongoing crisis in Gaza, the overwhelming majority of whom are Muslim, requires us to stand in defense of injustices. It requires us to stand in defense of any form of terrorism, hate, racism, injustice, whatever seek to undermine the foundational principles of Islam, the value system of Islam, that undermines the principles of humanity, the principles of collective living, the principles of the oneness of humanity, the principles of the equality of humanity, the principles that bind us as one human family. Anything that undermines that principle in an unjust way, we must all speak out against it, whether it is done from within the community or outside of the community. Injustices and injustice is not tolerated in Islam. As Muslims, our faith compels us to raise our voice against all forms of oppression, injustice, and violence. We must condemn the use of force to settle disputes, whether it manifests as terrorism or genocide. In doing so, we must stand on the right side of history, condemning all wrongs, regardless of the perpetrators. The Holy Quran reminds us in chapter 4, 135, "Believers, be upholders of justice and bearers of witness to truth for the sake of God, even though it may either be against yourself or against your parents and kinsmen, and the rich or the poor, for God is more concerned with their well-being than you are. Do not then follow your own desires, lest you keep away from justice. If you twist or turn away from the truth, know that God is aware of all that you do. This verse emphasizes that justice is a universal principle. It is a foundational pillar of Islam. It is a foundational pillar of faith. It is a foundational pillar that requires action in demonstrating faith. One that must guide our actions and stance, especially in the face of injustice. Muslims in North America, you in North America face tremendous challenges, including Islamophobia and prejudice. Our response to this must be firmly grounded in faith. However, our response cannot be purely theoretical. It must manifest in efforts to promote greater religious tolerance and understanding. We must engage with our communities, educate others about Islam, and demonstrate through our actions that Islam is a faith of peace, compassion, and justice. By doing so, we counter the negative stereotypes and misinformation that fuel Islamophobia. Our faith teaches us to respond to hatred with kindness and ignorance with knowledge, to build bridges rather than walls. The Islamic faith is one of peace. This is a message we need to propagate so that our brothers and sisters, wherever they may be, face less persecution and vilification based solely on their faith.